I see a vision for the future where we go back more to a sense of tribe. And so now tribe is something that is very much connected to indigenous people, but the indigenous people have had for thousands, hundreds of years, this idea of actually not only tribe between them, but also the fact of they are the ones living and being in contact with their land, which happens when we go into eco-villages and into intentional communities. Because what happens is that we live on the land, we eat from the land, and we create a very strong connection with that territory. And so we should be the one also being both the caretakers and the ones being responsible for, and thus having the power over those local communities. And so this is why a world based on intentional communities or eco-villages that exchange with each other, that specialize, that becomes different depending on where they are, because they mold into the nature of where they are, I feel is much more aligned with both the connection with ourselves as humanity, with humans and humans, and with humans with nature, because it allows us to take back the power in our own hands. And so what do I mean then by modern eco-villages? What is the difference between modern eco-villages and normal eco-villages? There's no difference between this. So the reason why I normally want to point on modern eco-villages is because one of the challenges that eco-villages faces is that they are underestimating what it means to actually sustain an eco-village in terms of really taking care of the land and in really being in connection with that, and trying to detach as much as possible from society, which I completely agree, because I came from a point when I wanted to seek out community where I was really, how do you say, I was really sad, truly, to see that we are living in a way that is that separates us so much from our environment, and that in a society that is continuing to create so much suffering for not only us as human beings, but for the whole planet. And so I really wanted to cut off completely. And I even had extensive periods in my years before going to live in an eco-village where I was completely alone in the jungle and in the forest, because I just wanted to be so much with nature and detached from everything. But the problem that I've seen in developing an eco-village with that mindset is that we are actually taking out also the good things that comes with the modern terms. So I also now, just as what Daniel said in the beginning, it's beautiful to be able to connect with people. We have amazing technology, not only that allows us to connect with other people, but that also allows us to create different kind of income streams, that helps us to run the land, that helps us to connect with each other. So I think that we need to create things that can be modern in the sense that they can actually be alternatives for the future, rather than going back to the past, rather going back to a situation where, yes, we were much more in line with nature, but we were also struggling. As you know, I come from Sweden. It is now one of the richest countries in the world, and only 100 years ago, it was one of the poorest countries in the world. And so I really know from the stories, but only from a few generations ago, even my own grandparents, how much like they were practically living on potatoes and vodka. And so I don't want to go back to a situation where we don't use the modern and technology that we have, but where we mix and take the best of everything. So this is why I speak about modern communities and eco-villages being so important also, and especially in allowing us to how to balance our time. You know, I think that going forward in humanity, we need to have the time to really explore ourselves, our creativity, and we cannot do that if we are constantly burdened with all the things that people hundreds of years ago was burdened with when it comes to growing our food and so on. So we need to be creative. This is the creativity is why I point to modern.